My name's Chris Winston. I work for a company called Projitech in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm going to take a few minutes now to talk to you about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, also known as STEM. I have a STEM-based career, degree in mechanical engineering from Illinois Tech, and I leverage the T. I leverage most of STEM, but definitely the T, the technology part, as I have been working from home for probably the last 25 or more years, or I'll work from a customer site. What I'm going to tell you about now is some general topics in STEM, give you some examples, and I'll talk to you about my path. And yes, of course, I've got some slides, so let's go ahead and take a look at them.
STEM. That's right, science, technology, engineering, and math. But I should let you know I am going to take them a bit out of order. Math. Math begins with the study of quantities and just expands from there. When you start to learn math, it often relates to counting what you can do on your fingers, then pencil and paper, growing to when you need a calculator or a computer later in life. So it's best to get the basics first. After all, the difference between 1,000 and 1,001 is just one. See how I snuck a little math problem in there? S is for science. There are lots of them. A lot of sciences that include those dealing with the oceans, earth, animals, space, and more. But we'll just take a look at the ones you'll probably see first. Biology, living things like us. Chemistry, materials, like things we wear and use. Chemicals like things we use to clean ourselves and our things, and the reactions that occur when combine different chemicals and or materials like concrete, which is made of air, water, sand, gravel, and cement in certain portions, or steel, made of iron and carbon, and a number of other materials, particularly depending on the need. So stainless steel is going to have chromium and nickel, depending on the stainless requirement, for use in eating utensils and surgical tools. Physics. Forces like gravity, lift, thrust, and drag for your future aviators out there. And energy, like light and heat. So keep those in mind. We'll probably see physics again. E. Well, that's the engineering side. Engineering is what I have my college degree in, and it is effectively the application of science and math to solve problems. So let's take the building you're currently in. It sits on a foundation, it's probably been there for several years. Civil engineering was involved in making the land that it's on, the roads that get you to and from. Mechanical engineering and structural probably help to build it and keep it erect. Chemical engineering is involved in day-to-day operations, especially in dealing with everything from the food you eat and the fluids that flow through the building. Electrical engineering provide for the light communications, heat, and control systems throughout, so you're comfortable based on the different conditions that may be outside. Technology applies to everything, tends to make everything a little bit better. This discussion could take days. So I'm going to focus on some examples, just more than I have up to this point. Um, Hopefully that'll give you a better understanding of the technologies that are there and available. And we can start just looking here at the basic computer. Um, they began, it took a lot of space, required a lot of people to get them up and running and keep them up and running. Then, before you knew it, things got smaller. Laptops, tablets, and phones. Now you can wear one on your wrist. Let's take another example. This video. 100 years ago, 1921, this video would have been made, or could have been made, but it would be very expensive. It would require many people, a studio, and many of the graphics that you would see here would not be possible. Additionally, you would need to go to a specific place to view it in black and white with no sound. You would have to read what is being said after it was said. Today, you watch from your computer, tablet, maybe even your phone. Another example is in your classroom every day. The chalkboard, invented in the early 1800s. What? What was that? You don't have a chalkboard. Then perhaps you have a dry erase board or a whiteboard that you can use markers with. This has only been around since the 1980s, so I guess you're more up to speed than I was. I had chalkboards pretty much all the way through college. The newer classrooms have smart boards that can take input from other people in the classroom. They're touch sensitive. You can print them out, and even more. Get all that? All right, now it's my turn. As I mentioned, I have a degree in mechanical engineering. I always had a love for math, so I thought I'd go into accounting. My mother also noticed I had a love for science, especially physics. Told you it would come back. And she worked for Job Service, an agency in Illinois that exists to help people find jobs. She had access to where the jobs were then and what the projections were for the future. And she suggested engineering. She was right. If you have a love for math and science, I always encourage a person to consider engineering, which is the application of math and science. The STEM careers aren't for everyone, but it's really important that you know about them and that you take a look just in case. You don't have to stay in it. A lot of people leave their STEM career and move on to something else. In fact, if you look at some of the chief executive officers of popular companies, uh, Facebook and Microsoft, they're somewhat self-taught. Apple and Google, undergraduate degrees in engineering, and more. There's ExxonMobil, General Motors, their CEOs. At least looked at this August of last year. They were all engineering undergraduates. So again, it's a great way to get started, and you don't have to stay there. You can move on to something else. My first job, for example, was a steel mill. After a few years, I left there and went into consulting and worked a little over 17 years. And in that time, the steel mill that I started with became a client. I've also worked as an independent consultant. That means I work for me. I chose where I did the work. I billed for the work. I managed the work. I found new work to avoid gaps in employment, which is rewarding and exhausting all at the same time. At my current company, Project, I've had responsibilities to implement technologies in many industries and facilities, including consulting to determine needs and devise plans to meet them, training development and delivery to educate clients on new ways to do work, and tools they can utilize to do so. I still consult and train internally for work with our clients and our business partners to provide and enhance services in delivering technologies, especially in moving companies to the cloud, yes, somebody else's computer, which is quite quietly just allowing them to use the application IBM Maximo that we work with, use it over the internet, connect to powerful computers that we make available rather than them having to purchase and maintain their own. And then we provide them with a number of services to support and help to improve and enhance their usage. Training, something I've done throughout most of my career, working to simplify complex concepts for individuals to use in a meaningful way without having to grasp everything at once and allow them to grow in responsibility as they and their business dictate. The ability to help someone else in a meaningful way, educate them, to train them, to provide them with the tools to enhance their own abilities and capabilities. It's a very important feature, very important skill. It's something you should learn whenever you can. Another example of technology would be classroom education and training. This is something I've done live or via pre-recorded video, just like this one. I've done it for many years. And in 2020, students of all ages began to experience the same. How did I get here? Like I said, I always loved math. Science came into the picture when I was probably 10 years old and carried through my high school years. So when I went to Illinois Tech, it was for engineering. I had the options for aerospace, civil, electrical, fire protection, metallurgical, and mechanical. I chose mechanical. Today, there are 5 or 6 times more choices depending on the school you go to. So look around. Not just in engineering, but in all STEM areas. You won't be disappointed. And that's not to say that there are not other careers you probably know about already that you can't go in. You may choose to go into craft work or trades, law, education, medicine, all available. STEM just tends to not be as well known. That's why I'm doing this video, and I hope that you will be encouraged to take a look. All right. And let's see. Up to this point, I have lived in 5 or 6 cities in the US, one in Canada. My wife and I have 2 young adults in college. Yes, engineering college. Before travel stopped for me in 2020, I'd worked in Canada, the Caribbean, Switzerland, and 40 different states. Blue dots are really places I've lived. The red are places I've worked. This isn't all of them. The map was just getting too messy. All right, a couple other things. Um, I'm doing this because far too often I meet people who wish they would have known about the options in STEM earlier in life, as they would have liked to at least have had a chance to pursue STEM. Don't stop here. Ask about STEM and do your own research. And I'm going to end here with a little something else. You've heard of Einstein? Well, this is basically based on Bernoulli, one of the Bernoullis. There's lots of them, all smart. And you notice that guy is closed, and eventually it'll be opened up, and things will change. Fluid mechanics, a little bit of Bernoulli. So there are lots of fascinating things in STEM. Take a look. Thanks very much.